Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I thought I would do a tag for you, the books and life tag created by Steve Donahue. I first watched a book, first I watched Sean the Book Maniac do this, and then Olive from Book Olive, I did watch her do this as well. So I decided to go ahead and do it and film it. So, which, by the way, Steve is a great booktuber. You should check it out if you haven't already. He's really, he has a good sense of humor, and he's very passionate, like all of us readers. And he also reads comic books as well. He always does a video on his book Rattle Hall, which is a famous used bookstore in Boston, I believe is where he lives. And he's this cute little dog he calls Frida. She's so adorable. She always makes an appearance, and he has a huge library. I mean, not like bookstore size library, but maybe a small bookstore. But still, it's huge compared to though it's huge compared to me, because it it's this one big room that goes all around the room. It's one little square, so that the wall to wall shelves in this whole room. So it's pretty big. It's a pretty good size. But anyway, so check out his channel, Steve Donahue. I will share the link actually to his channel if I find his original video. Okay, so you guys know how this works. So here it goes. Okay, so question number 1. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a normal person and 10 being the late Harold Bloom, which I had to look up who Harold Bloom was, even though I'm a reader, I still did not know who Harold Bloom was. And I say an 8, because I don't just love books and I don't just read books. I also am a big TV and movie watcher. I'm always one of those people who roots for the adaptation, who is always having hope that the adaptation will be good. And that's partly to do with the fact I like the visuals of movies and TV shows. But I also have tried to prioritize books a lot more, because for the longest time, I felt like I prioritized TV shows and movies more than books. So that has changed the last few years. So question number 2. Number 2 is a series of questions, actually. Where does your personal library stand right now in relation to the rest of your life? And I gotta admit, I didn't understand that question. What he meant by that question. And then the next question is, do you have more books than you ever have, or fewer books than you ever have? And then the last one is, how has your library changed? So I said more. At least more since we moved here. Especially since I've joined BookTube. BookTube has made me a lot more aware, and I probably over 100, more than 100 books. Unfortunately, unlike Steve, I do not have a whole room where I can do wall-to-wall bookshelves. In fact, I don't think my parents would really like that. That's the thing about living at home. They're not living with me, I live with them. So despite the fact that I'm 32, I still kind of have to respect their rules and go with their rules. Okay, and then the last part of the question is more specific, and that is, like I said, how has your library changed? And I say not only do I have more books, but I have a little bit more variety. I was mostly fantasy with a few historical fiction books thrown in and a few horror books thrown in. But mostly it was a lot of fantasy and paranormal stuff. And even then, with my fantasy, I've definitely exploring other kinds of fantasy as well, and getting back into the Lord of the Rings style fantasy, rather than just the paranormal Twilight type stuff. I'm reading books like this. I have books like this on my shelf, The Recognitions by William Gaddis. I was introduced to this book by Chris from Leaf by Leaf, watching his video where he discussed this book, and just the way he talked about this book. And I don't know when I would be as good as analyzing this book and really reading between the lines of this book as he is, but it definitely got me interested And after I read this one, I'll probably get the author's other well-known book, J.R., which was the name of my parents' dog when I was a baby. And then I'm also like reading books like I also bought books like Ulysses and Paradise Lost and a lot of those Black Spine Penguin classic paperback classics. So yeah, it has, I'm reading a lot. So I'm reading a lot more different types of books, and I have a lot of, like I said, I have a lot of those Penguin classics, the ones with Black Spine, and in fact, I've been reading a lot more classics, and that's partly to do with BookTube. Well, mostly to do with BookTube, actually. So that I answered all those questions except for the first one because I didn't understand how to answer that one. So number 3, okay, take a step back and ask myself, what is the most likely the first bookish impression a newcomer would have in your home? And like I said, I live with my parents, so I just have a big room, the bonus room upstairs, the only upstairs part of our house. So I'm going to say, instead of home, I'm going to say my room. If people come up to my room for the first time and see my books, I feel like they would think I'm a lot smarter than I really am. I mean, I know I'm not dumb, and I know I'm pretty smart, but especially book smart, unless it comes to unless you're talking about math or science, and that's a whole nother story. But yeah, because I have a lot of classics, like I said, and a lot of books, very dense, very challenging books. And people would assume that I have read these books and it's like, no, I haven't. Like, a book like this size would take me over for years to read. Even if it's a fantasy book. I haven't picked up Priory of the Orange Tree in 2 years, and it's not that I'm not. I loved it when I was reading. I really did. It's just it was intimidating in size, and also I almost want to get a paperback of Priory of the Orange Tree. Even Stephen King, his longer books will take me years to read. It took me years to read it the first time, and I'm currently rereading it. In fact, I started over when I bought, because I decided I wanted to buy a new copy of it, one that was a regular size paperback instead of those, instead of the mass markets, which I think I had the B paperback, which I think is between a trade and it's a little stronger material than a paperback, than a mass market paperback. But anyway, and also, people would, like I said, would assume I would read a book like that within a week because I'm always switching up my books. No, it would still take me a lifetime to read. And like I said, the ones that I have, like Don Quixote or Ulysses, I started reading Ulysses, and I very much struggled comprehending it. I feel like I need to start over with that one because, it's, the writing style is a little more challenging to read. So, and also, some of those books, Dante, The Portable Dante, the only reason I kind of understand the first epic poem, Inferno, is because of people like Jennifer Brooks, watching her video. So yeah, I think they would think I'm a lot smarter than I really am. And I read a lot, and people probably assume I read a lot faster than I really do. Every time my dad will say, oh, she's read, almost all the books on her shelf. So I'm like, no, I haven't. I have not. I have a serious problem because I can never get through. I will never get through my books on my shelves. Which can be both a good thing and a bad thing, because it might give them an impression that I don't ever read the books I buy, which is not true. It just takes me a long time to read them. Okay, finally on question number 4. How often, and it actually said in the question, if ever, gulp, do you clean or reorganize your books? I do not clean my books. I think the only people that would ever clean their books are people that just collect books, have collectible books. Then yeah, they might clean their books, but I don't clean them. I like buying nice editions. Or at least I've gotten into a lot more, but I intend to read those editions. And people often recommend if it's your first time reading the book, don't buy the nice one, like the cloth bound ones. Don't buy that one but of course I bought it because I like the look of it. But I do love reorganizing. I am a huge reorganizer, even though it will take me all the way into the night, into the evening, and sometimes I get very overwhelmed and stressed because I have them all spread out on the floor, trying to put them together how I want to put them on my shelf, and that will take forever, and I'll get sidetracked constantly because I will have a booktube video or the TV on at the same time. But yes, it's very stressful, but I do love doing it. It is really fun to find a unique way, or trying to find unique ways to organize my books, but I don't ever really find them. And I am one of those people who likes the rainbow shelf. I know it does get criticisms, but to me, who cares? I like a pretty shelf. A lot of people like a pretty shelf. It does not mean that they don't read the books. It just means they want it aesthetically pleasing, aesthetically really pretty. Nothing's wrong with that. So, yep, okay. Question number 5. On average, how many books do you acquire within a given week? And I think 3 at the most if I can get away with it. Because my mom has requested that, which I know, I'm 32, it shouldn't matter what, but I would try to respect my mom's wishes because I end up feeling guilty if I don't. But, the last 2 visits this month, I was able to get out of it and because she had requested, can I buy just 1 book? And that isn't difficult. I feel like you can't ask a reader to buy just 1 book unless they're a reader that only borrows their books and doesn't buy them. Someone who buys books, I think asking them to buy 1 book is really difficult because how are they supposed to decide? Unless they just have 1 book in mind. Obviously there are probably people who do. Usually when they go to the bookstore, they have 1 book in mind they want to buy. But then I go there and I see and I might have 1 book in mind originally, but then I see all the other books that I haven't gotten to that I've been wanting to read, and I'm like, I want that one, I want that one, and I want that one too, and I put a whole bunch of them in a cart, because I always grab a cart, but I was able, because I told my mom I got one of the books from the clearance section, which I did, I was able to get 2 books, the last 2 visits instead. So 3 at the most, but lately I've tried to restrain and just get 1 or 2 at the most, and that's going by week. With a month, that's a different story. Okay, so that was number 5. Question number 6, of course, as a book, I'll point out this is very typical of Steve to do, which is throw a question that's nothing to do with books. Although when I first saw this tag, I thought it was more like it did have to do with books. But the question is, what song is your current earworm? And I was thinking he meant, like, what's a song that you would listen to while reading? And I was going to say I don't listen to music while I'm reading, because I can't do it unless it's instrumental. Or if it's a song that I don't really know the lyrics yet. And even then, I don't really, I've never listened to instrumental music. But the question is actually what's a song you've been listening to? And okay, another thing is I do not drive. I cannot drive. My disabilities prevent me from driving. So I'm usually, when I'm going somewhere, I'm usually in one of my parents' cars, and my dad listens to a lot of the music he grew up with, which I do like. I like Elton John and the Beatles and all those guys. And then, in fact, some of them are even on my iPod. And, he, occasionally, though, he'll have it on the pop music station, but, which is contemporary music. And then, my mom listens to talk radio all the time. She loves talk radio. Although I have, the last trip we went on up to see my sister, I was able to get her to put on, the Broadway music station, because she has, Sirius Radio. So that was awesome. So mostly, if I listen to music, it's gonna be like on my iPod. And I recently downloaded some songs that were more, songs that kind of, older songs that, not old, but just from early 2000s probably, like, Katy Perry's, a couple of her songs from, I think it's her second CD, and then, late 90s going to the thousands with, Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy, and then When You're Gone, and then Natalie Kills, I think her name is, her song Wonderland. That's a really cool song. I really like that, and it kind of has a little bit of more techno beat to it. But yeah, I download some of those on my iPod, so that's really when the only time I listen to songs that I want to listen, the songs that are more songs that I really love. Although, like I said, I like some of the songs that my dad grew up with, so yeah, I don't really, that was question number 6. Question number 7, what percentage of your self-control do you retain in a well-stocked bookshop? And I contain no self-control. I usually always find a book to buy. Which is probably why my parents are a little concerned about my spending habits, because because it will add up eventually, But anyway, although going to a used bookstore I think helps when I go to used bookstores. So yeah, I have no self-control. Okay, that was question number 7. Question number 8. Do you ever feel the need to take a break from a book? If so, what form does it take? And I don't really take, the break will only last a few hours, but I've never been in a reading slump. I'm not trying to be like, haha, I've never been in a reading slump before. I just never experienced a reading slump before, in all honesty. And I never, like I said, if I take a break from a book, it's just like after maybe like for a few hours, like the last few hours before I go to bed. And I will be watching TV or something, or just watching BookTube. So yeah, I don't really, that's, my breaks are really, if I take a break, it's really short. Okay, so question number 9. When you meet a new person, how long does it take you to bring up books? I had a hard time with this question because I don't, when I first bring someone up, it will depend. Sometimes I don't bring books up at all until like after I've known the person for a few weeks or a year or whatever, after a period of time I've known them. And sometimes I will bring up books. If I, get the impression that they might like reading, or I want to be their best friend. Not in a weird way, but as in like if I could see a potential friendship, So yeah, I don't usually, and I think it's probably due to sometimes I don't like to share. I always like to, I want to size the person up before I decide to bring up books. If it's family, then I'll be more prone to bring it up, because if they're friends or close friends or family, then yeah, I'll be more prone to bring up a book a lot sooner, because they know I'm a reader. Okay, so that was question number 8. That was number 9. Question number 10. Have you given any thought / made any propositions for your personal library after you croak? So, of course, again, another Steve Donahue type question, which is a morbid one. Okay, so I don't know, I've never given it serious thought. But I hope that all 3, my nephews and my niece, are as intervening as I am. So far, I think Harrison will likes reading it, but I don't know about the other two yet. The other Daniel and Charlotte. I just hope they do because I want them to they'll get the first pickings. So I don't know. I mean, I've never really considered that. And I just hope I don't die anytime soon, And, you know, of course the books will go to, of course, the books could go to, if, to a library or a bookstore or whatever, if I die, if I croak, as Steve put it. But like I said, I would love to have my nephews and my niece get the first pickings. I do kind of already have a box started. It books I just don't want on my shelf, but I want to go to them at some point. Okay, so that was question number 10. And question number 11, the last question. Are you known among your friends and loved ones for your weird and probably unhealthy relationship with books? And yes, I've kind of answered that, and the answer is yes. Like I said, my mom's kind of tried to corral me in about how many books I buy, especially if I buy them at like Books A Million. I think she's probably a little more lenient when it comes to like either Black Castle Books, which is a used bookstore, and I'm donating books to them anyway, as long as I call them 24 hours in advance. And then the same thing with the one that's in the roast office. They're used bookstores, so they're probably a little more. My mom would probably be a little more, being like, okay, you can. I'm still spending money on books, but I mean, they're cheaper. So yeah, in fact, everyone, people will make it a big deal that I'm a reader and think I'm a lot more impressive with it than I really am. Like I said, when the question about first impressions, they probably think I'm a lot smarter and read a lot faster than I do. And every time, and I always bring a book with me to work because I get a 15-minute break, and I'd rather do that than stare at my phone. I feel like that, although my friends, and that's partly, I will start a conversation with them, and then they'll text me right during my break, and then I feel like I have to take that moment to respond to them. But, yeah, so, let me look at the question. Okay, and, but when I meet new people that they see I'm a reader, they will, I have one coworker, Paul, who he sees I'm reading a book and is like, do you have your book? Do you have your book today? It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's not that, it's not that big of a deal. Yes, I like to read. I'd rather read a book than stare at my phone. But it's also a thing to do with because his mother also reads as well. And then I remember when the first year we moved here, that first summer, when I was going to our pool, I was by myself, and one of the gentlemen approached me and was like, it's so great that people your age like to read. And I'm wondering, well, how old do you think I am? Fortunately, I have a really young face. And yes, I said unfortunately, because people think I'm a teenager and I'm 32 years old. But yeah, people are just so impressed, and it's like, you have never been on BookTube, have you? And it's almost kind of annoying. But yeah, and then my family, well, and I have some family members who don't, I ask for books, for gifts, and they're like, but I don't want to just get you books. I'm like, that's what I love. It gets me excited, just like how my dad gets excited every time I send him, one of us gives him the collection of golf balls, with the name brand, like the Titleist golf balls. He gets excited because he loves those. And and I gotta admit, I was being a little bit critical because at first I was like, I don't want to just get him that. And then I was like, wait a second. I hate when people are all like, my family members are all like, I don't want to just get you books. because I love books. And that will get me excited. I might not be jumping up and down, but I still am excited. It's like, well, then I shouldn't, if my dad wants those golf balls and he's excited about them, then I will get him those golf balls. Or one of us will give him, because they make him excited. So, yeah, so my friends and family know very much. I wish there was more potential for them to read the same kind of books I like reading. But I don't know if that will ever happen. Occasionally, my sister and her college roommate, we occasionally will read similar types of books, but not really. So yeah, they definitely know. Okay, so that was the books in life tag. Feel free to do this tag. I will, if I can find it, I will share Steve Donahue's video, and we'll post it in the discussion box. And if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below if you want to see when I post new videos. And I will talk to you all later. Bye!